Welcome to Rare Coins Numix, your source for the wildest stories in coin collecting. One Washington quarter made headlines and broke records when it sold for an absolutely massive amount. Let's uncover what made this coin so valuable, and why it still has collectors talking. You might never look at your spare change the same way again. From the moment you hold it, you can feel there's something different about this coin. It's called the 2022 United States quarter featuring Maya Angelou. On the surface, it might seem like just another coin. But this one carries a story, one of power, resilience, and history. More than just metal, it represents a remarkable life and a significant shift in how we honor those who shaped our world. To understand why this quarter is so important, and why it's become such a prized piece among collectors, we need to start with Maya Angelou herself. Born in 1928, Maya Angelou was a poet, an author, a performer, and a civil rights activist. Her writing gave voice to those who had been silenced. Her presence inspired countless people around the world. She lived a life of deep purpose, and through her words, she taught generations how to rise above pain and injustice with dignity and grace. When Congress passed legislation in 2020 to redesign a series of quarters to honor American women, Maya Angelou was among the first chosen. And rightly so. She became the very first black woman ever featured on a U.S. quarter. It was a moment of celebration, a sign of progress, and a recognition of a voice that helped define an era. The design of the coin reflects her spirit beautifully. On the front, the traditional portrait of George Washington remains. But it's the reverse side that captures hearts. There, Maya Angelou is depicted with outstretched arms, behind her a rising sun and a soaring bird, symbols of hope and freedom. Her pose is strong, confident, and open, representing the kind of grace she embodied throughout her life. The artist behind this design, Emily Damstra, wanted the imagery to evoke Maya Angelou's energy and how she lived her life, boldly and without limits. And sculptor Craig Campbell brought that design to life with stunning precision. The details are remarkable. From the folds in her dress to the feathers of the bird behind her, each line tells part of her story. Now let's talk about how this coin was made. It was minted at multiple U.S. mint facilities, including Philadelphia and Denver. The coins were released both for circulation and in special collector sets, uncirculated versions, proof sets, and even silver-proof editions. These special strikes, especially in high-grade condition, have become incredibly sought after by collectors. But what really sparked a wave of interest was something unexpected. Certain coins from early production runs began showing subtle minting anomalies. Die cracks, small raised lines from worn or damaged minting tools, started appearing on some of these coins. In particular, collectors began noticing cracks across the eagle's wing or around Maya Angelou's hair. These tiny imperfections, rather than reducing the value, made certain coins far more desirable. Because they were rare. They were unique. They stood out. As news of these rare variants spread, collector communities began buzzing with excitement. Online forums filled with close-up photos, grading comparisons, and discussions about the rarity of these features. People started checking their spare change. Coin shops reported higher foot traffic, with collectors searching for specific versions of the Angelou quarter. Even ungraded examples, if they showed the right kinds of mint marks and die variations, began commanding serious attention. Grading became a major part of the story. Professional grading services evaluated thousands of Maya Angelou quarters. And coins that earned top grades, especially those marked with special finishes like deep cameo proof, gained even more attention. A few of them, especially those showing the right combination of rarity, condition, and visual appeal, began selling for impressive sums. While we won't quote an exact number, let's just say these quarters have been known to sell for thousands of dollars under the right conditions. So, what makes one of these coins valuable? It comes down to four things. First, condition. The higher the grade, the more desirable the coin. A flawless specimen with no marks or wear is always more appealing. Second, rarity. If a coin comes from a limited edition, a low mintage batch, or includes an unusual error, it becomes more scarce. Third, demand. When collectors start competing for a particular version, the value rises. And finally, story. A coin that carries meaning, like this one, always stands out. It's not just about the design, it's about who it honors. Maya Angelou's quarter isn't just beautiful, it's meaningful. It reminds us of the progress we've made, and the people who made that progress possible. Every time someone sees that coin, they remember a woman who spoke truth to power. A woman who overcame incredible adversity. A woman who inspired hope. And that's what makes this quarter special. Whether it's tucked away in a collector's album, displayed in a case, or handed down from one generation to the next, it carries weight beyond its denomination. It tells a story. And in some cases, yes, it could be worth thousands of dollars, depending on condition, rarity, and the details it carries. So, if you come across a 2022 quarter with Maya Angelou on the back, take a moment to look closely. You might be holding more than just change. You might be holding a piece of American history. A tribute. A treasure. A tiny masterpiece that honors a giant of a woman. Up next, a simple coin that many people overlook. A coin that's passed through countless hands, dropped in vending machines, tossed into change jars, and carried in pockets without a second thought. But this one, this ordinary-looking piece of metal, is hiding an extraordinary secret. Because the 1996 United States quarter dollar with the Denver Mint mark, also known as the 1996 D quarter, is far from ordinary. In fact, in the right condition, it could be worth more than most people imagine. Let's start with what you see. The quarter features the familiar profile of George Washington on the front, just like it has for decades. His gaze is calm, determined. On the back, an eagle spreads its wings, perched on a bundle of arrows, surrounded by olive branches, an image of strength and peace. This design is classic. It ran from 1932 until 1998, just before the State Quarter series began. The 1996 version looks like many others at first glance. But it's what you can't see with the naked eye, what lies beneath the surface, that makes it so fascinating. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of these coins in 1996. In fact, over 900 million were produced. With numbers like that, you'd think the coin would be anything but rare. But rarity isn't just about how many were made. It's about how many survived in perfect, pristine condition. And that's where things begin to change. Most coins struck for circulation go straight into the world, rattling in pockets, scratched in drawers, worn down with time. But a tiny number are pulled aside. Stored carefully. Preserved. These are the coins that have a chance at greatness. And for the 1996 D quarter, greatness means something truly unexpected. Because among these coins, a handful have emerged that are in near-perfect condition. Coins that show no signs of wear. No scratches. No smudges. Just flawless detail, gleaming surfaces, and sharp, strong strikes. These coins have been evaluated, graded, and recognized as top-tier examples. And when combined with certain striking features, like die cracks, doubling, or subtle variations, they become something more than a quarter. They become a treasure. Over the years, collectors began to notice unusual versions of the 1996 D quarter. A few featured distinct die cracks, thin, raised lines caused by small fractures in the metal dies used to strike the coin. Others showed signs of doubling, where details like letters or features on the coin appear twice, slightly offset. These aren't signs of damage. They're minting errors. And in the coin world, the right kind of error can mean everything. Some of these quarters were found with doubling around Washington's ear, the date, or the lettering, details so subtle they're missed by casual observers but prized by seasoned collectors. Others had strong luster, deep definition, and full detail from edge to edge. These coins, when professionally graded at the highest levels, especially Mint State 68 and beyond, are exceedingly rare. And when a rare error combines with perfect condition, the result is a coin of immense value. But what's even more incredible is that most people still don't know these coins exist. They spend them, overlook them, or toss them into change jars, unaware of what they're holding. That's what makes this story so exciting. Because the next valuable 1996 D quarter could still be out there, in someone's drawer, purse, or pocket, waiting to be discovered. So how do you know if you have one of these hidden gems? First, look for the mint mark, a small D just to the right of Washington's ponytail. That tells you it was struck at the Denver Mint. Then, check the condition. If the coin looks unusually sharp, like it was never used, it might be something special. Under magnification, inspect the details: Washington's hair, the eagle's feathers, the lettering and numbers. If they're crisp and free of marks, that's a good sign. If you spot doubling or unusual features, even better. And if you're not sure, you can always send it to a professional grading service, where experts will evaluate and certify its condition. Because here's the truth, not all 1996 D quarters are valuable. Most are worth exactly 25 cents. But the rare few, the ones preserved against the odds, with standout features and top-level grading, those coins are a different story altogether. They are the exception. The hidden royalty among the common. And that's what makes collecting so thrilling. The idea that an everyday object could hold extraordinary value. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. What is a 1996 D quarter, just one coin, actually worth if it has all the right traits? A coin in impeccable condition, with top-tier grading and rare features. Its value has been recorded and confirmed, $51,000. Yes, that's right. A coin you could have picked up as change from a soda machine, if kept in pristine condition, could now be valued at $51,000. It's a reminder that history, rarity, and perfection can turn the smallest things into something truly priceless. The next rare coin in our spotlight today is one that many people would never suspect. It's small, it's familiar, and chances are, you've seen one just like it dozens of times before, maybe even today. It doesn't sparkle like a silver dollar or boast an eye-catching color or shape. It's just a quarter. But within this quiet, ordinary coin lies a story that most never hear. And for those who take the time to notice the details, this little piece of metal becomes something far more than its face value suggests. We're talking about the 1993 Washington quarter minted in Denver, often identified simply as the 1993 D quarter. A coin that looks completely normal on the outside, but for a select few, it holds something extraordinary beneath the surface. Now, 1993 wasn't a particularly unique year for quarters. There was no special design, no commemorative program, no silver content in regular circulation. The design featured George Washington's iconic profile on the obverse, and the traditional heraldic eagle on the reverse. It was part of the standard Washington quarter series that had been running since 1932. At the Denver Mint, more than 600 million of these coins were struck. That's a staggering number. So common, in fact, that nearly everyone in the United States has likely held one at some point. And yet, from that ocean of production, a few quarters were born different, not in what they show, but in how they were made, and how they survived. Most coins go through a rough life. The moment they leave the press, they tumble into containers, rub against each other, and endure countless tiny impacts. Then they're bagged, shipped, sorted, and circulated. The marks of use begin to accumulate before the coin even leaves the mint. So when a coin manages to make it through all that, untouched, in pristine condition, that's remarkable on its own. Now imagine that same coin was struck just slightly differently. Maybe the die shifted slightly, creating a shadow effect in the lettering or features. Maybe the die itself had begun to crack, leaving a raised line somewhere on the coin. Or perhaps the pressure was slightly off, creating a smooth, broad strike with unusual texture. These anomalies aren't damage, they're mint-made varieties. And in the world of coin collecting, that's where things get interesting. These small variations, tiny imperfections made during the minting process, can turn a regular coin into a highly desirable collectible. And when these traits appear on a coin that's already been preserved in near-perfect condition, you have a truly rare combination. Some 1993 D quarters have been discovered with subtle doubling in the word Liberty, or faint cracks forming lines near the eagle's wings. Others show die fatigue, softness in design details caused by overused dies, which adds another layer of uniqueness. While these might seem like imperfections to the untrained eye, to collectors, they're the signature of rarity. And these aren't things you'll spot with a casual glance. They require attention, patience, a magnifying glass or loupe. But for those who know what to look for, these little clues are signs of something far greater than ordinary pocket change. Now imagine one of those rare era coins wasn't just unique, it was also flawless. No dings, no scratches, no fingerprints. Perfect edges. Bold luster. A coin that somehow escaped the wear and tear that ruins most others. A coin that still looks the way it did the moment it dropped from the coining press. Coins like that are often submitted to professional grading services. These services use strict, standardized criteria to evaluate the coin's condition. Grades range from worn and circulated all the way up to mint state 70, the pinnacle of perfection. Very few circulation coins reach even MS 67. Anything beyond that is a true rarity. Especially for a coin from a high mintage year like 1993. And that's exactly what makes the 1993 D quarter so surprising. It's not supposed to be rare. It's not supposed to be special. And yet, in the right condition, with the right minting traits, it becomes one of the most sought-after modern quarters in existence. Most people have no idea this kind of coin even exists. They pass over it in their change. Drop it into parking meters. Trade it for snacks or coffee. But hidden among those everyday quarters are the few that were never spent. The few that were carefully stored, preserved by chance or intention, and quietly carried their story through the years. These are the coins collectors dream of. Because they're not just beautiful, they're survivors. They represent a perfect moment frozen in time. A flawless result from an imperfect process. A mistake that made something better. And in a sea of common coins, they shine brighter because of how rare they truly are. So, if you're someone who checks your change, pays attention to detail, or has a drawer full of old coins, take a closer look. That simple 1993 quarter with a tiny D under the date. It might just be more than it seems. Because one of these coins, preserved in exceptional condition, carrying all the right markers, and officially graded at a top-tier level, has been valued at $57,000. Next up, we've got a coin that's probably passed through thousands of hands without a second thought. It's been dropped in vending machines, fed into parking meters, and flipped for luck more times than anyone can count. At first glance, it looks like any other quarter you might find in your pocket, familiar, unremarkable, and seemingly common. But behind that everyday appearance lies one of the most valuable modern quarters in U.S. history. This is the 1990 D Washington quarter, a coin that, in one rare form, can be worth far more than its face value suggests. The design is classic and timeless. On the obverse, you see the dignified profile of George Washington, gazing toward the future, a symbol that has graced American quarters since 1932. The word Liberty arches across the top, and the date is stamped clearly below his neck. On the reverse, the powerful heraldic eagle spreads its wings, clutching arrows and olive branches, a symbol of strength and peace. This design has been a constant in the numismatic world for decades, appearing on billions of quarters. In 1990, the Denver Mint struck over 900 million of these quarters, a staggering number. To most, this means the coin is common, just another piece of change. But in the world of coin collecting, rarity isn't just about how many were made. It's about how many have survived in excellent condition, and how many show unique features that make them stand out from the rest. You see, coins made for circulation rarely survive unscathed. Even before they make their way into people's pockets, they're jostled, scratched, and scuffed by other coins, machines, and handling. Most quarters from that year show some degree of wear or damage. But every once in a while, a coin is struck perfectly and preserved impeccably, like it was frozen in time, fresh from the minting press. These exceptional coins show razor-sharp details and brilliant luster. The edges are crisp, the surfaces gleam, and there isn't a single scratch or blemish. For collectors, this kind of condition is rare gold. It's the kind of coin that makes you stop and take a second look, wondering if you're seeing something special. Even more intriguing are the subtle minting variations found on some 1990 quarters. Tiny doubling on letters, faint die cracks, or small raised bumps caused by die chips. These aren't defects, but fascinating mint-made anomalies. These quirks add character and rarity, making certain examples highly sought after by collectors who know how to spot them. It's amazing to think that a small number of these coins were struck with these unusual traits and have survived in near-perfect condition. Many of them were tucked away by collectors early on, forgotten in coin albums or old coin jars, and only recently rediscovered. Professional grading services help confirm their quality and authenticity. When a 1990 quarter earns a high grade, like MS-67 or MS-68, it enters an elite club. Only a tiny fraction of all quarters minted achieve these grades, and fewer still display these rare minting features. Holding a coin like this connects you to a moment in history. You can almost imagine the mint worker watching the coin strike perfectly, the bright flash as the die met the blank, the flawless impression of Washington's profile. It's a tangible piece of the past, preserved just for you. And here's the best part, these coins sometimes remain hidden in plain sight. They show up in circulation, mixed in rolls, or in change at the store. They wait patiently for someone who knows what to look for to recognize their true worth. The excitement of discovering such a coin is unmatched. It's a reminder that treasure doesn't always glitter or gleam, it can be found in the most ordinary places, even in the coins jingling around in your pocket. So the next time you come across a 1990 quarter, take a moment to really look at it. Check the edges. Notice the sharpness of the design. Look for any unusual doubling or faint lines. Because if that quarter catches your eye, if it looks flawless and distinct, you might just be holding one of the rarest and most valuable quarters of modern American coinage. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for, one of these exceptional 1990 quarters, preserved in outstanding condition and verified by experts, has been valued at an astonishing $65,000. A coin once worth just 25 cents, now worth tens of thousands. That's the magic of coin collecting. The story of history, chance, and preservation wrapped up in a single small coin. So keep your eyes open, because the next hidden treasure might be right in your hand. In the last, we are moving to the top one rare and valuable coin of today's video. And this one, well, it's different. It doesn't shout for attention. It doesn't sparkle with color or carry an unusual shape. In fact, it blends in so well, most people would never give it a second glance. But for those who know what to look for, this coin is a quiet legend. This is the 1978 Washington quarter dollar with no mint mark. A coin that, by all appearances, is just another quarter from the late 70s, but hides a secret that has made it one of the most talked about and coveted pieces among collectors. Now, 1978 was a pretty standard year for U.S. quarters. The design hadn't changed in decades. On the obverse, the strong, familiar face of George Washington. On the reverse, the heraldic eagle, perched with wings spread, commanding attention. Nothing flashy, no commemorative themes, just the classic design that millions of Americans carried around every day. The U.S. Mint struck over 800 million quarters that year from different locations, and each location usually left its own small trace, a mint mark. Denver struck coins with a D, San Francisco typically struck proof coins with an S, and Philadelphia, well, here's where things get interesting. Philadelphia, at the time, did not consistently include a mint mark on its circulating coins, so technically, a no mint mark coin from that year isn't an error in the same sense as a wrong planchet or a double die. But here's the twist, while most of the no mint mark quarters were ordinary Philadelphia strikes, a very small number turned out to be different. Coins with sharper strikes, cleaner surfaces, and an unusually high level of detail. Some with slight but traceable dye varieties. And those are the ones that captured the attention of serious collectors. The rarity here is not just the absence of a mint mark, it's the near-perfect condition in which some of these coins have survived. Imagine a coin that was never pocketed, never dropped, never scraped against keys or tossed in a coin jar. A coin that somehow avoided the everyday wear and tear for over 4 decades. These are the survivors, the finest examples from an entire generation of circulation. What makes them even more compelling is how ordinary they appear at first glance. That's the beauty of this coin. It's hidden in plain sight. It looks like every other quarter, until you notice the missing mint mark, and then you look closer. The strike is crisp. The luster is bright. The details are flawless. It's as if time forgot this coin even existed. These rare finds often come out of forgotten mint sets, inherited collections, or sealed bags that sat undisturbed for years. Some are discovered by accident, by someone simply checking their pocket change a little more closely than usual. And in that quiet moment of curiosity, they stumble across a coin worth far more than they imagined. Now, when a coin like this is found in pristine condition, graded at the highest levels by professional services, it enters a different world entirely. A world where condition, rarity, and demand converge to create something truly remarkable. The 1978 no-mint mark quarter has become a prized target not just for its scarcity, but for the story it tells. It reminds us that even during an otherwise uneventful mintage year, something unusual, something special, can still happen. It shows that not all treasures wear crowns or glimmer in gold, some are gray, understated, and quietly waiting to be found. And today, one of these rare 1978 quarters, with no mint mark and in near-perfect condition, has been valued at $87,000. That's right. A simple quarter. Just 25 cents when it was struck, now a collectible worth more than a luxury car. A symbol of how overlooked details can sometimes hold the most surprising value. So the next time you're sorting through old coins, don't just glance at the date and toss them aside. Look closely. Especially at your 1978 quarters. Because one of them might not just be old change, it might be one of the most valuable quarters ever minted. And that's the magic of numismatics. Not everything rare is obvious. Sometimes, greatness hides in the most ordinary of things. And that wraps up today's journey through some of the rarest and most valuable quarters ever minted in the United States. From seemingly ordinary coins to hidden treasures worth thousands, these pieces remind us that history and value can be found in the most unexpected places. Sometimes, all it takes is a closer look to uncover something truly extraordinary. If you enjoyed exploring these rare finds with us, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps support the channel. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. We've got plenty more coin stories coming your way. And if you've ever come across an unusual coin, drop a comment below, we'd love to hear about it. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting.